Hello, everybody.
Hi, welcome.
My name is Philip,
And I'm Mahilius.
and we are very happy to announce that we are making live a little project that we've been working at for the past year.
That's right. So some of you might be familiar with our YouTube channel sPhil, where we were talking about Hegel's lectures on the philosophy of world history, and that's actually just a small part of a much larger project that
Yes.
we've been working on for the last year. Philip?
Yeah. So what we initially are going for is that we want to build a place on the web that cultivates and develops philosophy in a systematic way. And we think there are a lot of interesting and cool tools on the internet and in software that we can make use of to make better and richer collaborative practices.
Yeah.
And that is what we have been putting together. So we've been busy this past year setting up the sort of infrastructure and the technical things of it, but we are now going to be rolling it out live, and we are very much looking for people to get involved.
Yeah, so in preparation for this, obviously a lot of work has gone into the development of the software and the website, but we've also put a bit of work into the content as well to sort of get the ball rolling so that
Yeah.
people could get an idea of how a piece of work on the website might look like. And so we've got some articles on the beginning of the science of logic, being, nothing, becoming, the famous beginning.
Becoming is still coming. It'll be there very soon.
And we've also got some little work on mechanism from the section of objectivity in the doctrine of the concept and science of logic again. And these are really just exemplars in many ways for people to get an idea of how they might get involved, or also a point of contact for anyone that wants to comment on or adjust or edit. That's really the whole point of this collaborative project.
Indeed.
It's open to people's suggestions and additions and criticisms and
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
So a lot of the inspiration behind this is basically what you find in open source programming world. So like anyone can come in and contribute, and you can see like the procedure and the process open and available, and then people can just see, well, how's it working, what kind of feedback are people getting, and so on. So like it's a little bit different from the traditional publishing model where you don't know what kind of feedback you get from who. So I mean, there are advantages to blind reviews and so on, but here is like the complete extreme opposite, which is like super public review.
Yeah,
Right.
which we hope will also foster greater community and
Yeah.
collaborative spirit
And greater discussion.
and greater discussion.
Right.
It might also be worth mentioning that the name of this project is sPhil. It's not Hegelphil.
No, it's
and
not.
Even though we've only written on Hegel, that's really just because our doctoral work was on Hegel, and just Hegel comes easiest to us.
Yes. So that's not often you hear every
No.
day. Like, yes, Hegel just comes easiest to me.
But obviously, you can write on any philosopher whose work you want to try and present in a systematic way, or you think can be presented in a systematic way.
Yeah.
So it's really open to how you want to contribute to the website.
Yeah. Some caveats there. So like we've just got the ball rolling mainly on Hegel, so there's like the form there. But if there isn't anything on Plato or Hume or something like that, right? Then just get in touch with us, and we'll set up the system to get that, to receive those things and to make it work with the website. Even though like there is nothing about Hume or Plato, that doesn't mean that there couldn't be, or there should be, or Aristotle for that matter, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And one of the main sort of driving ideals for this is consensus building, right? Because it's very hard to get an overview of what's going on in the literature on various philosophers, and you have to like do a lot of digging. So here we want to sort of put things together in terms of concepts and categories, right? So take Hegel once again as example, right? He's a concept on pure being or being, right? We write an account of that to the best of our ability, but there's like lots of commentaries around in the world. What did other people think? And we just want to sort of aggregate this in one place, and then have like, okay, if I need to figure out what's going on with being in Hegel, I can go to sPhil, I get, you know, the rundown of it, the development, but I can also see, okay, what does other commentaries add and figure things out. And then you see like, okay, there are these and these commentators, but I also know of two other guys who also should be in here. So like that's an excellent opportunity for you to sort of pitch in and add those commentaries to that article. And it might be that, well, it becomes overwhelming at some point. There's like 15 commentators on this one thing. Well, we just split it out and reorganize it, right? So this is very much a living thing, right? We are writing on it, we're developing it, and we're iterating on it, and then it can just turn into something else as we need it to turn into something else.
And that's, I suppose, also the beauty of this digital format that you've created. We can always rearrange how things are presented.
Yes.
Depending on how it grows and develops.
Depending on how it grows and how it best makes sense to us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay then. So we hope you find sPhil as exciting and as interesting as we do.
Yeah. So we're going to turn now to talking about showing a little bit of the site, so you can have a look for yourself. Anything else you need to mention before we get that step?
I mean, we've got lots of other ideas about what to do further on. We want to build up on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We want to create greater engagement, not just by writing, but also maybe online calls. But that's further down the line. That's really about the community coming together and creating that kind of atmosphere. I guess right now the most important thing is just getting
it going
off the ground. Yeah.
Yeah. But it really is about that intellectual life, that pursuit of knowledge in a way that makes use of the tools that are available to us, and maybe makes philosophy more accessible and available in new contexts that were previously inaccessible and unavailable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because academic philosophy is quite slow to adapt to. Here comes the rant.
So here we are in the site itself that we've been putting together. So this is the main landing page, and it isn't very much on the main landing page. There's a little bit of explanation of what it is, and you can have a look around. But what we envision is that there'll be lots of different philosophers and philosophies that are systematically being examined. And we have like two sort of main extremes in which we want the content to sort of fit into.
So we thought that a helpful way to divide the content per philosopher would be in terms of guides and in terms of reference. Guides, as the name suggests, is going to be an area for helping users get into the thinking of a particular philosopher, to sort of give them a map, a set of coordinates for how to navigate their thinking. I mean, that was especially obvious for us when it came to the Hegel page, which we think, having studied Hegel, we know how difficult it is to get into Hegel, so we thought that was... But then we think it's just more generally, it's very useful, because if you're going to be going from philosopher to philosopher, having a guide that sort of gets you on your way to sort of orienting yourself as to how they think would be very helpful. Do you want to add anything on guides?
Yeah, it's just easing people into the content, right? So if you're interested in philosophy, or you're interested, in Kant or Hegel, but you don't know very much about them, then the guides are meant to guide you to the content of the philosopher, and help you into the thought. And then we have
the reference, which would be more content-based writing. So,
well, I don't want to say content. Both are content.
Well,
it's more technical.
More technical, okay.
Hell of a lot more technical. So we're going off the deep end technical.
So it's more analysis of the particular concepts, categories that a particular thinker uses, and that's where, again, just to take the Hegel example, this is not just a Hegel platform, but let's take the Hegel example. Philip's written a lovely article on pure being. That is a reference article because breaks down and analyzes what pure being is for Hegel. And then in that article, Philip also refers to other commentators, Burbage, McTaggart, and then also engages with what they think. So it's more sort of the analytical, critical aspect of engagement with a philosopher, whereas the guide is more sort of setting someone up, getting someone introduced to it.
Yeah.
Though I suspect and incidentally, this is what Philip was talking about in the previous video about.
No, we're still in the same video.
Okay.
It'll be cut in the same video.
About introducing new philosophers. So right now it's just Hegel and Kant. But if you wanted to talk about Aristotle, we would just sort of create a little box for Aristotle.
Yeah.
And then,
these are just placeholders.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how it would go.
We're just getting started, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right then. So let's have a look around.
Shall we look at a guide?
Yeah. Let's we're interested in Hegel. I starting out, and then here's a little sort of overview of what's in these pages, right? Getting you started, and then on the right side here, you can see from the Science of Logic we have basically an introduction to the Science of Logic, and we put in a little bit of our own thinking that we think that could be helpful to a reader coming in to the Science of Logic, want to understand what it's about, what's going on. You can sort of read here. We've thought about like familiar logic, unfamiliar logic, because Hegelian logic is very unfamiliar.
Yeah.
Yet also familiar if you start thinking about it. And then we start following the text, because Hegel has his own introduction in the Science of Logic, and we try to stick close to that, try to evoke and bring in the themes and considerations he has, which are a lot. Like, it's a chunky introduction, and it needs to be, because it's a chunky tome. And so like we give an easier thing, and then it gets harder and harder and more details based on what you feel like, as your interest grows and as you would like to know. So the introduction to logic and the topics there. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think one thing to note, you sort of briefly mentioned, this is obviously something that we've written based on how we've approached logic, how we find it useful.
Yeah.
Again, this is something that someone else might come to and want to add something to it, or might want to make a sort of a caveat for a different kind of interpretation of the logic, and that will find its place in the guide. But really, the aim of it is to help someone to get started. It's I think that sort of summarizes it quite simply what it is.
Yeah, and then you can sort of look here. Well, how is the logic divided up, right? You can get an idea of what's, how it's carved up in the major divisions. But even that has some philosophical thinking to it, and that's
Absolutely.
what Hegel goes into, and that's what we try to also bring in here. There's a dialectic of the divisions and then there are some extra things about, some extra terms and how metaphysics and ontology and all of that stuff relates to this. And we envision that, there could be plenty more articles based on the feedback we get, people getting involved. We will just sort of, it's like causality of human society, like the arrow goes both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So in the end, the guides are there to get the user up and going, being able to use the philosophy, right? Getting comfy. But then we have
the reference.
The reference.
And the reference, as we said before, they're more of a critical, analytical pathway for people to engage with particular concepts or categories of the thinker. So why don't we have a look at the beginning?
Once again, we have the Science of Logic that we started writing. There's an overview page, and then we get into like very detailed stuff. Right? So here we have a quote. So incidentally, the beginning of the Science of Logic is very simple in terms of like text. It's just one paragraph on being, and then one paragraph on nothing. So it's not much stuff happening, but then we go very detailed, sentence by sentence, or line by line, or multiple lines, and go very slow. So that's kind of the vibe here. Go slow, methodical, careful. It's like there's a crime scene happening in being, and we're there meticulously detailing every little bit and reconstructing the thought, right? The thought that that happened here.
But also, just to highlight sort of the distinction between sPhil and a more sort of traditional peer-reviewed approach to writing philosophy, that we have the luxury of taking it slow. There are no deadlines. There's no push to finish something quickly. It's about people taking their time to contribute.
Sure, but I would say like the process of writing and editing is extremely quick for us because we don't have any sort of like the things we've set up. There isn't like it's all on the, like on this platform and stuff. So the writing itself, putting stuff out there, is going to be extremely quick for us.
Yeah.
I just meant in the content, in the way we analyze the stuff, that we can take all the time in the world and just
and write as much as we like,
and as carefully and as methodically as we like. Yeah. So,
and this is all open to suggestions and comments.
Yeah.
Part of the way that one might get engaged with sPhil is, you might read, let's say, this account of Burbage, and you might think that our good friend Philip here has maybe missed something, or maybe
the author of this article,
or the author, exactly, whoever it is,
so
has missed something, and you might want to say, you want to make a suggestion that maybe this should be added, and that's the process of the article becoming a collaborative work. I mean, it's already a collaborative work between the two of us, but a greater collaborative work.
Yes, indeed.
With more authors.
So you have here, a section on Burbage, on the development of being, right? But you're like, hey, I want to add some stuff here. I think this quote is wrong, or here there are like syntactical issues or typos, right? Anything you want to contribute, you can just click on this link, boop, and it'll take you to the source material, right? So this is the place where we actually edit and work on the thing. So the entire article itself is just written in plain text, basically, in a format called Markdown, which is very simple, has very simple formatting rules. Oh, sorry, there's a bit of a lag here. Okay, maybe I shouldn't move around too hard here. But there you can see, this is just the source material. It's like, we don't use any rich text because there are a host of compatibility issues, and it's not really good for long-term storage. Like if we use Word or something like that and copy paste from Word documents, Word changes all the time, right? 10 years from now, the Word docs that are written today are not going to be compatible. Plain text will be compatible. It's just the simplest, straightforward source material, format. Yeah, but you can just easily click on that link. It'll take you to a repository where all the action and the machine, the engine room of sPhil is happening.
Which maybe brings us to the next sort of topic, which is how to contribute.
Yes. Good. Yes, we should talk about that.
Right.
So we have here a little mini encyclopedia just on contributing itself. So what is this all about? Just the general division of our encyclopedia that we have here, a bit more explanation of why we do the things we do, and then just a quick start guide of getting you up and going. Just because you need to understand a little bit of file structures, but really, if you're dealing with just a bunch of documents, you have to put them together in folders, right? And so it's very just intuitive actually. And here we have a little bit about, viewing articles in the source code, which I just showed you, clicking on the link, editing those articles, creating new ones. So this is going to be something that we will have to continuously develop and see based on the needs. I think we'll do a separate video just on contributing and getting that up and going. Yeah.
We've already done a lot of beta testing on me.
Yes, you are the guinea pig of guinea pigs.
And I think I've helped smooth out a lot of issues.
Yes.
I've been very, very inept, so it's been good for Philip to have me.
No, you are very good. You've been very brave. Okay, so, and in this contributing section, it's kind of like a mini encyclopedia onto itself, because here we talk a little about the methodology, right? We're very exegetical, first and foremost. We want to understand the philosopher, what they were up to, take them on their word, explore their text, the best of the ability that we can. And we think this is possible in a way much more than it has been done, precisely because we can sort of pool together cognitive resources here. We can have multiple people looking at the same file, the same words, the same article, so we can refine and make things better, like the best kind of possible article on being, period. Right? That's we want to make a repository, basically, of this knowledge that's collaborative space.
And I think it's probably important to just highlight that, because that's maybe one of our non-negotiables. Like, we think that's the most effective approach to engage with a thinker, to this exegetical approach.
Yes.
So we're not claiming to have a neutral standpoint.
No.
By, by having multiple authors working on a single article, we're not claiming that it's neutral. We are taking a stance, methodologically at least.
Yes.
And our stance is that you get the most out of an author by engaging rigorously with what they wrote.
Yes.
And unpacking.
Yes. Deep exegesis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because I think we believe that if the bedrock of the exegesis is solid, anything that's built on top of that exegesis is going to be all the better.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah, if you understand, the categories and the nuances of Hegel's logic, that's just going to help you in the philosophy of right and the ethics so much more.
But also more from a more negative perspective, it's the much more effective way of critiquing Hegel if you want to.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yes,
taking him on his own terms.
Yes, beat him on his own turf,
and finding flaws with that.
Yeah,
instead of holding him to standards that are external to what he's interested in.
Indeed.
So we think it's just the most what's the word I want to, not just effective, but authentic, genuine, truthful. Yeah. It's the most honest way, I think, to engage with a philosopher. So yeah, that's the approach that we're taking in this.
That is at least how we're starting out, right?
Sure,
sPhil itself might change.
Yeah.
Who knows how it's going to look like a year from now or 2 years from now? And that's part of also what makes this project very exciting for us. We have an idea based on how to approach philosophy and approach various thinkers based on our training and the studies we've done. But now this can just be its own jump-off point to something else.
Yeah.
Unknown. We don't know. It's part of the excitement.
It's part of the process, yeah.
Yeah. So here we also go a little bit into the various tools we use, how to get this stuff going. You can get a conceptual overview on GitHub and so on. I think that's all just a separate video. Yeah.
We'll have a dedicated video helping people to get into the GitHub mindset.
Yeah, it's a bit of a conceptual work to be done there, but once you get into it, I think it's a great investment.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Finally, just want to mention another thing.
I think we should mention it, yeah.
Yeah. So we are building this place, sPhil. You see here the platform, right? We got some stuff on Hegel. We have some placeholders for Kant and Spinoza. There's nothing up there yet, but we wanted to indicate that this is not just a Hegel thing. It's just like systematic across the board, right? But you might have noticed, say you're looking at being and you're working through this, but you find my God, it's just too hard. There's too much here. I need more more sort of. What we're doing is we're also building out a course platform, and you can see there's a link to that here. There's also a link up there, and that's going to be called Symposia. So click on this thing here. It's going to take you to this place, which is our course platform, which is going to kind of be a companion to sPhil.
Yeah.
sPhil is going to be forever like a free open resource, but this is just another additional resource that's going to be a sort of paid service, but that's going to be us teaching you this material in live seminars and lectures and so on.
That's right.
So we're also, as we're working on sPhil and making these articles and expanding on that, we'll also build these courses where you can sort of, you can get involved and meet other like-minded people, peers, and other people interested in the same stuff you are in a classroom context, because I think that's really important for development of the mind.
I think one of our hopes is that you might first encounter sPhil, be a bit maybe daunted by it, maybe do a course, and the course will make you hopefully feel more confident to think and write philosophy. And our hope would be that then you'd go back to sPhil and you'd want to contribute.
Yeah.
You'd want to give your thoughts on, you know, why being vanishes into nothing, or, you know, whichever other wacky category. That would be the hope, that it gets more people involved in the contribution side of philosophy.
Yeah, we want to sort of, so we make these courses looking at what's being written in sPhil and unpacking that further, making that even more accessible and sort of in a teaching context. But then we would like to highly encourage people to, well, maybe you, as a part of the course, throughout the course, you're very interested in one category of becoming, right? And especially from how Hegel sort of connects up with Heraclitus, right? How his notion of becoming is relevant for Hegel, because Hegel talks about Heraclitus. And that might be like a little project and you might end up contributing to sPhil as part of sort of your exam of the course you're doing in Symposia.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you might have guessed, it's gonna be on Hegel. It's gonna be on the beginning of the science of logic, and we are gonna go through the entire first third of the doctrine of being.
The section of quality.
The section of quality. We'll go through the whole section of quality.
That's right.
More information about that as we get closer to finalizing the course, but that's our plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do a big course on the science of logic, and we hope that you will get stuck in with us.
Yeah. Okay.
And be there and enjoy the ride with us. Yeah, it's great figuring out the life of the mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Figuring out the philosophy. Okay, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Right? So we hope to see you get involved with us.
Thanks for watching.